G'day guys, it's Ed again here. Welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of how to paint your RC boat. So if you haven't watched part 1, I suggest maybe you go back and take a look. It is a fairly lengthy video, but it does encapsulate as best I could for an amateur. Full disclaimer, I'm an amateur at this, but I've had some reasonably good results so far. But it will talk about what you're going to need for your entire job, and talk about how to get your boat to primer stage. As you can see, we've got our primary project here, which is the Ariane. If the stickers give anything away, you might be able to guess what colour this boat's actually going to become. And secondly, we've actually got a Pro Boat UL19 here, and this boat's going to receive just a clear coat over it. So I'm going to focus just a little bit on the UL19 first, and then we're going to get into the primary project, which is the Ariane. I'm not going to go on about this one too much, but pretty much like I said, I'm just looking to retain this boat's paint condition. It's getting a few little dings and scratches here and there, but it certainly doesn't warrant a full respray. I just want to look after it. I touched on in video 1 these scourers. This is not like your everyday kitchen scourer come sponge. It's quite soft and flexible, okay, yet it's going to be able to score up our paint work just enough so that the clear coat is going to have something to stick to. So we're going to use this. We're going to go right over the entire boat. You don't need to press hard. I did a little area just before and already started to take off a little bit of the paint, so really go easy on this, guys. All right, so I finished this up. It's only taken me about, I don't know, 20-25 minutes to do this. As you can see, you're just left with a bit of a dull sheen over the whole thing now. Don't stress too much. The clear coat's going to really bring this up beautifully, particularly if you use a gloss type of clear, which is what I really like. But the next part of this is going to be clean this completely up of all the dust, all the oils off your hands, and you're just going to use your wax and grease remover for that. I really suggest anything that's left on your hands like this, you clean your hands really well with some dishwashing liquid. Make sure it's a dishwashing liquid, not just the hand sanitizing stuff, just to get rid of any oils and crap off your hands. Next you're going to see of this is it's going to be hanging up and getting ready for clear, and yeah, you'll get to see that. Next we'll move on to finishing up our main project, which is the Ariane, and getting that ready for paint. Alrighty, so it's time to move on to the primary project, the Ariane. We've got to sand this down and get it ready for its base coat. So depending on what you're doing, you might be going for multiple colors. It's not going to really change this stage. You just need to sand it all down. But you may be going to apply stickers, or in my case, I'm actually going to be painting on my liveries. So I'm going to be taking these stickers down to my local sticker maker and having them print out some stencils, and because they're just black, I'm just going to paint them on as a second base coat color. I've got my 500 and 600 grit sandpapers ready. I think I'm pretty much just going to start with 600 grit. I've already begun on the canopy. We don't need to go too hard. You can see here in a couple of spots where I've burnt down through. I don't think that's going to make a terribly big difference, but once I applied all my primer, my hatch didn't fit very well. So you need to bear that in mind. You may actually want to pre-sand all this down to get it the right size. Just depends on your boat. My hatch was always a little bit funny. So anyway, 20/20 hindsight, could have sorted that before I primed it, but it is what it is. What you're looking for is a nice, smooth, clean finish. I've ended up with almost these little tiger stripes, which you can probably see there. That's an indication that you've got slightly different heights. You can feel it underneath the finger that it's a little bit rough there. For me, I'm not too stressed on this on my boats. I'm not looking for perfection, but if you are, you just keep on sanding this down until you've just got that nice, clean, even finish, and that's going to do the trick. So I'm going to get into this. Doesn't take too long, but once again, more sanding. So now we're just going to clean it all off with wax and grease remover. Again, just getting all that dust off. So I usually do a once over with my wax and grease remover on a crappy old used microfiber. And then right before it's time to paint, we'll go over it again with a fresh microfiber cloth. So hopefully you can see now that everything is nice and smooth. Yeah, a couple of small little burn throughs here and there. It's not the end of the world. You can see the kind of pitting in along here. I can feel it's not perfectly smooth. But like I said before, if you're going for the perfection thing, those are all the parts that you're going to want to get rid of in the end. So for me, this is good enough. Flip this over, top side. So once again, the main surfaces are nice and smooth. Get the hatch on there, nice little wipe down. All right, and that boat is pretty well prepped for paint now. So fast forward a couple of days, we're ready to go. Had a bit of rain the last couple of days. The forecast says there's going to be rain later on today, so not ideal, but we're going to get cracking early this morning. I've got everything that I'm going to need to use ready. I've got my colours, I've got my clear coat, I've got a few paint mixing buckets, some wax and grease, clean rags, and most of all, the boat is set up ready to receive colour. So the colours we're using today is going to be a Ferrari Rossa red. Now with some colours you do need to put down sort of like a mix of white with say 10 or 15% of the colour you're going to use. So what this does is you'll put down, say in my case, a bit of a pinky mist, and that's going to mean I don't need to put as many coats, say 4 or 5 coats of actual base coat down to get the correct colour. That's because it's a grey primer. So take it for what it's worth. I'm going to mix up a bit of a leftover white base coat I've got. I'm going to mix in just a dribble of my red straight into that can, mix it up, and I'll actually keep what's there in case I have any repairs that I need to do to this boat. I've actually got the correct mixed colours ready to go for anything that I need to do to the boat. So while I'm mixing this up, guys, just quickly about paint ratios. So I'm just mixing in the thinners now to this colour. Usually the ratio is about 60% of your colour and 40% thinners. It can vary, it just depends on your gun, but I've pretty much just run with a 60-40 ratio on everything in terms of my colours thus far, and that seems to have worked out quite well. You can see there it's a nice pinky colour. So yeah, I'm going to get this loaded into the gun, and anything left over I can tip straight back into the tin, and like I said, ready for any future repairs, God forbid. Alright, so we're about to put the colour down. We're just doing a bit of a dust coat and then just one regular coat of this pink paint, just getting it ready for the red. Then we'll clean the gun and then we'll get into the red. So here we go. Wait a couple of minutes and we'll get the next coat on, which will be a nice full coat. So there's the pink base coat done, all finished. Any little spots that showed a bit of gel coat, I put a little bit of extra coverage on just to tidy those areas up and get them nice and even. And the boat hull is looking good too. So I'm going to go clean the gun and we're going to get into the actual red. base down. Very, very happy with the colour, and I'm very, very happy with the finish. The time and effort put in to the sanding and the prep work pays off, guys. Like I said, perfect halts progress, good enough makes progress. So shortly we're going to clear coat this and get it looking really shit hot, but I needed to quickly take a minute to waffle on a little bit about perhaps if you're going to put down a second colour or some stickers or some decals, okay? When we put the clear coat on, it needs to sit for at least 24 to 36 hours, okay? You need to give the thinners that have been used time to evaporate before you put any decals or stickers on it. Otherwise, they're going to bubble beneath the stickers and you're not going to be real happy about that. So, minimum 24 hours, ideally 36 hours before you put any stickers on or think about the second colour that you're going to put on the boat. In this particular boat's case, I've got some stencils and I'm going to be actually painting on my my stencils, my stickers. It's going to be a black canopy and some black symbology on the bow that I'm doing. After 36 hours of letting the clear coat dry, you're going to sand the whole thing again. More sanding, and you're going to do that with 500 grit. You don't need to go too ham on that. It's just enough to get the clear coat ready for the next base coat to be applied and then another clear coat to be applied. So sand the boat down with 500 grit. Then you're going to clean the whole thing with your wax and grease remover and get it all perfect and schmick ready to go. Then you're going to apply your stickers or mask off any areas that are going to be staying the original color, and you're going to leave the areas exposed which are going to be your second color, okay? But once you're ready to go for your second color, you'll put that down, and then again within 6 hours you're going to put another clear coat over the top of it all. So take it for what you will, guys, but we're going to get into the clear coat now and I'll give you a couple of tips and pointers on that too. Say hello to the camera. Hey, you gonna give me a high five? High five? High five. Ah, good girl, good girl. Onto the clear coat, guys. This is arguably the most important, some might say difficult step of the whole job. If you muck this up, runs and all the rest of it, a lot of your work's going to be undone. So I don't know exactly what brands of clear these are. All I know is it's a 2-to-1 gloss clear coat. Okay, I've got my fast hardener on the ready. It mixes at a 2-to-1 ratio of 2 parts clear, 1 part thinners, and then we're going to put in between 10 to 15% of our hardener into the mix. Depending on your temperatures, like I said earlier, you might use a normal hardener if you're in quite warm weather or it's middle of summer or something like that. Today's not that hot. There's some rain expected later on in the day. So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this goes off nice and quickly. So I'll probably run 12% in terms of the hardener. Here's our cup. For this job, I'm going to mix up about between 450 mils of clear. You can see here on this, we've got the mils. Up here is going to correspond in depth to roughly these 5s, okay? This up here. So we can use this 2-to-1 in this cup and measure out the first 5 for the clear coat. The second 5 will be the thinners. And then the 5, 10, 15, 20 numbers, they represent percent. And you're going to use those for your hardener amounts. So the cup makes life very easy to mix up your clear coat. When you're applying it, it's the old story, not too much, not too little. If you don't go enough, it's going to look sort of hairy and it's not going to be nice and smooth and glassy finish. If you go too heavy, you're going to end up with runs. Look, it's just an experience thing, guys. I've only done this a couple of times, so I don't know. I might not get this perfect. I know the last one I did, I went a bit light in a few areas. And on the other boat I was working on, I went quite heavy, and I was very happy with that finish. So I'm going to go reasonably heavy with it. Do a dust coat in the nooks and crannies, all those little areas that we spoke about. Your boat could have more, it could have less. Dust in those areas first, and then we're going to do a dust coat over the entire boat. And we're going to let that sit, not for too long, a couple of minutes. And then we're going to get into the full coats. And I would suggest probably 3 full coats after your dust coat, and you're going to have a pretty nice job. So we've just finished putting our clear down. All in all, looking good. Can definitely see a few little imperfections here and there, but again, that's the joys of doing everything outside. So long, bug, you little bastard. It's turned out quite nicely. So tomorrow we'll get into the second colour, and yeah, you'll see the rest of the boats get clear coated also. Sweet. Okay, so it's been about 24 hours thereabouts, and I've let the boat hang up and dry. I've already gone over this boat just with my little soft scourer cloth, and you can see it's just sort of very gently scuffed up. It lets you get into all the little nooks and crannies really easily. So I've got all that done. I'm going to wash this thing down really well with some wax and grease remover, because once that's done, you can't get any more oils on it. So again, back to washing your hands, wearing gloves perhaps. Once we've cleaned it down, I'm going to apply my stencils. I'm just going to go ahead and get this prepped up with the stickers, and then I'm going to mask off all the rest of the boat that's going to be staying red. And we're actually going to be trying, well I am, to airbrush. So I'm going to use base coat through the airbrush, being that it's only this small area, because it's a bit difficult using a large gun with very little paint in the pot. This, on the other hand, should be quite simple. Alright, so we've got the boat all masked off. I've just had a bit of a start here with this airbrush, and we're just going to put a light dust coat down over these stencils. It's going to be very difficult to do and hold the phone at the same time. We're just going for a dust coat. Although that's all done. And time to put some more serious colour down. Easy peasy. So I'm going to let that sit for, I don't know, half hour to an hour. Let that dry off, and then we're going to peel back all the masking tape, and we're going to put the clear coat down on the boat for the final time, and we're all done. Alright, so stencils on, windscreen's on. I ended up having a very small little chip, you can see there if I put some shadow there. I've just touched that up quickly. One more last going over with the wax and grease, and it is getting late, so I'm going to get into the clear coat very quickly here and get it inside to the heater for the night. Okay, so whatever day we are here, we're about to film clearing the last of these boats. I'm really only concluding this just to show a boat that's already got a decent coat of paint on it that you just want to protect. So again, we just scrubbed this up and it's ready to go. And we've got a couple of other boats here. We've just put the black on. So this nice big hydro, we're going to clear that at the same time. And we've got Ethan's Ariane to go as well. So I'll show a little bit of the clearing process and then we'll get on to the finished results. There we have it, guys. There's the 3 boats all done. We've got the UL19. She's all clear coated, so we don't need to be so protective of that paint anymore. It's not going to chip super easily. We've got the Ariane, which has come out really, really nice. I've given that a bit of a polish. And then we've got the Hydro here as well, in Corvette Blue. So that boat still needs quite a bit of work to get finished, but that's for another day. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking around. If you watched the entire videos, I know they were long, but it was very difficult to condense everything that I thought you might want to know about the subject of painting boats, because there is a little bit to it, that's all. But just don't forget the 5 Ps. Prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. Anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching again. I'm Ed, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.